10 months later, I wrote a book that made us like, I co-authored it with a friend. So it did like 2 lakh rupees in net profit in just 15 days.
Wow.
So that is how I was able to scale those 3,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees.
Welcome everyone. You are listening to another Homo Sapien podcast in which we talk about practical stories and which proves that skills are way over than degree. We don't talk about any bullshit motivation over here. Our guest today is a fellow engineer turned internet marketer, and that was like more than 6 years ago, helping many businesses achieving six figures and founder of Blisto Videos, if I'm pronouncing it right. He has also helped more than 30,000 people to achieve their goals digitally, and very well versed with almost all of the subfields of digital marketing with a knack towards FB and Insta. With that, let's welcome Shirijan Bhardwaj. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ishan. And you just said one thing incorrect. Like the name of the company is not Blistro Videos, it's Blistro.
Blistro.
But it's not that too of a big deal. Yeah, Blistro Videos is
I'll
a
just
product
write
of
it
the
down
company.
like as a asterisk.
That's okay.
Let's cut this part. So, Shirijan, cutting down the bullshit as I mentioned, the first question would be a step-by-step process for someone to start making a career or to start making money through internet marketing. So, what would be the step-by-step process according to for a complete beginner?
For a complete beginner. So I think there are two categories of complete beginners: people who are making money already and people who are not making money already.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are making money already, I would say that you should explore it on the side, and you should allocate at least 3 hours to 4 hours a day. And you should
When you
not
say making money, they are doing jobs.
jobs or an existing business.
Okay. All right.
So one thing that I do a lot of, like one thing I see a lot of people making a mistake is that they quit their existing income source, like business or a job, to start digital marketing. What I
Mm-hmm.
recommend is that you should quit your existing job or business to do digital marketing when you are not finding more time to put into it.
Mm.
If you think that I'll quit and then I'll start,
Mm-hmm.
you are actually putting a time bomb on your own self.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it's destructive. And the
Mm.
worst thing about that is that it's going to explode in a 1 kilometer radius or 100 meter radius. So it's going to take a lot of people alongside.
Mm.
So that's for people who are making money. Now, for people who are not making money, I would say that you should put all of your time, like at least 8 to 10 hours in the beginning, to do this. And talking about the practical stuff, one thing I have seen, Ishan, is that even when you were saying I have a knack of Facebook and Instagram, I would say
Mm-hmm.
I have a knack of solving problems more than Facebook
Mm.
and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always on the lookout of problems. So you need to understand how the world is working right now, and because you already have a very inclination towards these things, so I'm sure you would be able to connect. So
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about history, okay, when we talk about how world used to be like 10,000 years back, like
Mm-hmm.
the civilization, the problems were very different.
Mm.
The problems of people were about more about like expanding their kingdom, uh,
Survival.
survival, building better infrastructure,
Yeah.
which they did. Like some of their infrastructure is better than ours. And
Mm.
then slowly, when it came to the like 100 BC, then the
Mm.
problems were different. Then
Mm.
until 1000 BC, the problems were different. Then
Mm.
around 1500 years, they were different. Right now, the biggest problem that we see right now is having more convenience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing right
Yeah.
now.
True.
At the end of the, like, there are 4 or 5 basic things that if someone can understand that these are the basic core emotions we are at right now, they would
Mm.
be able to get a drift of digital marketing.
Mm.
So I consider these things as number one, more convenience
Mm.
or more comfort level. If you
Mm.
can do anything that can increase your comfort level, then it's a good thing.
Mm.
So best example is urban clap.
Yeah.
Now you don't even have to go to a salon
Yeah.
or
Yeah. You don't
doctor.
like have to go out of the house, and times like this have completely shown that to us.
Right. Or even now the medical labs like Dr. Lal Path or Path
Mm.
Lal, whatever it is. Yeah.
Partly. Yeah.
So they come to your home and pick samples.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the first one. I would
Yeah.
say whenever you can make something more convenient for people,
Mm.
then you can think about, can I do this at a scale?
Mm.
For example, a lot of people are inclined towards getting a haircut. So even if you want, you can take it to a scale of millions.
Mm.
But there are some things that not everyone would want to do at home.
Yeah.
So you need to have that clear understanding that can I do this at a scale or not. So
Mm.
most of the people don't think about this in the beginning, and they
Mm.
realize it after getting a few sales. By
Mm.
that time, they're too attached to their idea.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah.
the first component I would say is convenience. The second one is how can it increase somebody's social quotient.
All right.
So, for example, all of us, we are image conscious people, like 99
Mm.
at least 9 more times 9. So when fidget spinner came, the biggest, that was the biggest example of being socially image conscious.
Yes.
Even though fidget spinner was one product, but people were competing against each other to buy the best version, best quality, best design.
Yeah. FOMO is real pandemic.
Yeah, FOMO is a real pandemic. That's a great way to say that.
Yeah.
So anything that can give people something that they can show off to other people, which is exclusive, is
Mm-hmm.
something that is always going to stay. So that is why we do print on demand apparel, like t-shirts and special designs on them, because these are unique. This
Mm.
gives someone that power that this is not available anywhere on the planet except on online store. This
Mm.
online store. That exclusivity is there. And we have tapped into it because now we know that people are always going to go for this.
Mm.
So
Okay.
our business is built around one problem, that is making people more socially image conscious. I know that's a
Mm.
terrible way of saying it, but I would not bullshit you. Like that's not what we do. We are actually making people more image conscious.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because if I can buy a t-shirt anywhere, then I would do it. But if I can
Right.
only buy a t-shirt at your place, which makes me feel a little bit special around myself or around my friends, that doesn't matter. But makes a lot of sense. That it's the basic principle behind the another Homo sapien thing that we were talking about. You are unique, and you're just embracing that uniqueness inside them.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
And finally, I would say anything that can save time, money,
Mhm.
resources, efforts, energy. That's
Hmm.
huge.
That's a good list. Okay.
So only these three things you should focus upon, because
Mm.
most of the people, more than making money, they would not want to lose their existing money.
Hmm.
That's how
Okay.
human psychology works. For example, people want assurance. Think
Mm.
about it in this way. Most of the people don't start a business until they don't have assurance.
Mm. Mm.
Or even if you launch a product today, people are always going to ask you, oh, is there a money back guarantee? Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
the
just
amount
got
of,
a call in the morning that, and the lady was saying like, for the security purposes, can I pay you half now and then pay half later on? Like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, it makes sense.
So these three things are where people should focus. Now, when you are watching the world with this view, so
Mm-hmm.
for example, I always say that as a person, you should always wear glasses, not the physical glasses, but the
Mm-hmm.
glasses of these three problems throughout
Okay,
the day.
okay.
So whenever you are seeing something, think which glass is something which I can put right now and
Mm.
observe it.
Mm.
So that's how you are going to build a business, because even with digital marketing, most of the people think that niches like social media marketing, SEO,
Mm.
PPC, media buying, these are big niches. But I'll
Mm.
tell you something, Ishan, that in US, the top 50 most profitable niches and
Mhm.
services, there are only two services of digital marketing in the top 50 list.
Okay.
That is SEO and
Mm-hmm.
online reputation management.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Traditional
So,
businesses are there in the first, like out of the 50, 48 are traditional businesses. Salons, nail polish, tattoo artist,
brick and mortar basis.
brick and mortar business. Absolutely.
Mm. All right. Makes a lot of sense. Now, these are the, I would say, if I am looking at the digital marketing
Yeah.
era or that we want to talk about from, let's say, 10,000 feet or 30,000 feet, I don't
Right.
know, from very above. So these are the concept we should be wearing these glasses. Now, for
Right.
someone who is a beginner who wants to start out, what would be, now this is the thought process that he would be gathering, hopefully, in his experience or her experience. But what are those things that he would be actually, he should be doing actually right now, according to you? Like, what is that one thing? Pick up that one thing, do it for 2 months, then do this, and like step by step process, as I told you, right?
I would say be a great stalker. That's
Okay.
thing. So most of the people don't value the research, the power
Mm,
of research. So I'll give you an example. So when we have to choose a new niche, and if I have to tell any of my clients, and
mm-hmm,
I'm not talking about any client, I'm talking about any of like the paying clients that we have. So the
mm-hmm.
first thing that I tell them while they're choosing a niche is that go to 2comaclub.com, check out the
Hmm.
niches in which people have already crossed 2 comma club, which means they have already generated sales of $1 million or
Mm,
7.5 crore rupees.
mm, mm,
That is your proof of concept.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
now you need to check out which one of these is more appealing to you.
Mm.
Now you need to do, like, step number one is do the stalking, do the research.
Mm.
Step number two is do your SWOT analysis.
Okay.
So when you do your SWOT analysis, write down how much do you rank yourself, or how much do you grade yourself on a scale of 0 to 10.
Mm.
So if you think your strength is creating videos, and
Mm-hmm.
you write 8 there, so write your top 3 strengths, top 3 weaknesses, top 3
Mm-hmm.
opportunities, top 3
Mm-hmm.
threats.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you have created, now divide it by half for grading,
Mm-hmm.
because you have probably overestimated yourself. You are not that good.
And not that bad also.
Not that bad also, of
Yeah.
course. But the bad thing about us is that we overestimate ourselves and underestimate the people in front of us.
100%. Yes.
So that should be step number two. Step number three is you should, even before you start working, you need to ask yourself one question: am I a happy person or am I a sad person? Most of the times.
Okay, that's a actually a toughest question of the world. Like, people actually don't know. That's a problem, I feel. But that's on a side note. Like, they are
Yeah.
actually confused if they are actually happy or actually sad. But anyway.
Yeah. But most of the times, like, are you a happy person or a sad person? Because if you are a sad person and
Mm-hmm.
you are trying a business
Mm-hmm.
just to be happy, then
Mm-hmm.
it can backfire on you. I'm not saying you cannot find happiness in your work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying you should not find happiness in your work,
Mm.
because the day you stop finding happiness, day after day after day, you're going to feel demotivated.
Mm. Okay.
So think about, am I doing something just to get out of some of my unprocessed emotions to
Mm-hmm.
get into some new emotions, or is everything sorted with me and now I'm doing this because I actually enjoy the process of building a business, or I actually want to take a risk? Don't make it
Mm-hmm.
your escape mechanism.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so the step one would be to actually have a proof that whatever your idea is, whatever is there in your mind. So let's say for someone, taking some examples so that it will be more
Right.
contextual for the people.
Yeah.
A kid who is 18 or 19 years old in a first year or second year college, and he's looking around him that a lot of people having digital marketing agencies. So now he wants to open one. He has skills. He would just see, okay, digital marketing agencies are working. Cool. I can make one also. So that's a proof of the concept. Now he'll look at the SWOT, as you mentioned. So strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. And that one thing I just want to know a little bit deeper from your perspective, that if you are judging yourself on the basis of current skill set that you have, then that might not be a good judgment, because skills can always be improved. But the vision, if you have it right, don't you feel so? Like the skill set, current skill set can always be improved or can always be demonized. Like,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree. But I would say that uh, you also need to focus on what you have right now. See, the possibility
Mm,
of improving is always there.
mm,
But let me ask you something. Like I was telling you at the beginning of this
yeah.
show, that for 27 years I struggled with building a morning routine.
Yeah.
Like for last 7 years actually. If you see my journal of last 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
the scope of improvement I have for myself is start sleeping at 12 instead of 1. Sleep early.
Mm, mm,
But it's there since 2 months, and I'm very optimistic about it.
mm-hmm.
I'm very hopeful about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is why I would say that don't pin all of your hopes on future. Also be very mindful about where you are standing right now.
Ah,
And
okay.
the best thing to do is talk to your parents.
Mm.
Like where do they see you? Because Indian parents are your mistake journal. They'll never forget the mistakes you make. And they'll always remind you that तूने 10 साल में ये करा था, तूने 2 साल में ये बोला था, 12 साल में ये किया था. So
Okay.
that's a good way of staying grounded. Yeah, get stand right now.
Okay. So just on a side note, what was your thing when you asked your parents कि कौन सी ऐसी सबसे बड़ी गलती थी? सबसे बड़ी. Did you ask? I never asked this question to my parents actually.
I do that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was, the fact that I took it was I was very aggressive. I was very uh, like I would want to force thoughts on somebody. I would my so that was the biggest feedback. Now the feedback is that I'm working too many hours, and actually, if you wanted to learn this lockdown, like dance or cooking. So that's the current feedback. And the third one is that I take too many things lightly, because now I laugh at most of the problems or most of the stuff. So that's the third concern.
I actually saw one comment of your mother on one of your posts on Instagram
Yeah,
recently, and that was really sweet. That like tells one how good your parents are with the technical stuff that is going on, because usually our parents above 50,
right,
60 are not on Instagram and platform like that.
right.
So one is that, and I can clearly see ki if you have impacted them in a way or not. And the second thing is how much is of like the good understanding of the self-awareness of each other is there. So that is what I like. But okay, boiling down to the things that you are actually doing right now. So you have a e-commerce brand running in USA, like apparel brand, as you mentioned. So for someone who wants to actually replicate
Yeah,
it, so I know, let's say that I know you're doing good in that, right? And I that's a proven thing. And I my strength is like doing all of that. How would I take that step by step if I want to copy you, or if you want to copy yourself, if if I can say that?
I would say I'm not the best person to answer that very honestly, Ishan,
Mm-hmm.
because I was never there since the inception of the idea.
Mm.
So I have an e-commerce brand, but I also have it with my partner, Nishkarsh.
Mm. Mm.
Nishkarsh was a person who was always very interested in e-commerce. He was the one who started. I joined him 2 months after the brand was launched because I was hospitalized before the launch of it. He taught me most of it. I can only answer based on what I learned, but it was not since inception. So I think that
Mm.
would be unfair. In fact, I would rather want to talk about maybe the digital products or the business we have.
Okay. All right. So about Blistro, was it your idea? Like, was there your? I just want to take one example which people can take. Like, okay, this is something that I can do. First, I need to do this. Second, I need to do
Right.
this. The third, I need to do this, and then I'll boom. I have a business, internet.
Sure. I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. Okay. So when we were starting out in
Mm-hmm.
Blistro, we were four partners. Okay, we were
Mm-hmm.
four friends, and the way it started was that Nishkash and I we were doing a lot of stuff to like try to make money online for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and none of it worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I met this guy when I bought a course in 2014, and
Mm-hmm.
I met this guy in a forum in a Facebook group. Until then, I had never met anyone apart from Nishkash who was doing or trying internet marketing.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, he showed me a proof of concept, which was that he was making money with Kindle books,
Okay.
and he was making 30 to 40,000 rupees. And the biggest thing was that he was making this money while being in Delhi,
Okay.
which was proof of concept into 100.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the proof
Yeah.
of online
Mm-hmm.
advertising, and
Mm-hmm.
I created a book out of it. Step number two was a SWOT analysis. Like my design sucked,
Mm-hmm.
my formatting and everything was terrible. So I sought help there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I reached out to a few people. We did barter. I did their content and all of it. Then
Mm-hmm.
step number three was that I went ahead. I published that book, and again I started focusing on the marketing side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that book made me 3,000 rupees in my first month. And later, I would say 10 months later, I wrote a book that made us like, I co authored it with a friend. So it did like 2 lakh rupees in net profit in just 15 days.
Wow.
So that is how I was able to scale those 3,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, I would say 70x in less
Mm-hmm.
than 10 months.
Okay. Less than
Yeah.
10 months. Okay. And that was your first online successful venture, if I can call it that.
That was the first successful product.
Product. All right. Cool. Um, so that's how you started it out. For anyone that wants to actually do this, he has to do the things that you just mentioned. Right? Seek out the help
Yeah.
where you are. So first of all, proof of concept. Okay, this thing is already working. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are not Elon Musk. We are like we are not that person, right? And the second step would be to actually right. I mean that can happen. We are not demonizing anyone, but the point being is you shouldn't be reinventing the wheel for most of us, for many of us, starting their first
Right.
venture, starting their hands out in internet marketing or anything like that. uh, so proof of concept, then SWOT analysis, seek some help, have a product, focus on the things that you're doing, and boom, you get
Right.
results. If you get results, if you don't, and if you still want to try it, then analyze it and do it again in the next,
Absolutely.
right? All right.
Just document that journey. even if you're not getting results, or even if you're going to get results, you never know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just document that journey.
And we have already talked about the basic set of rules that one has to have in mind. These are
Yeah.
the, yeah. So wear those glasses that Shirijan mentioned. So makes a hell lot of sense. Now I want to move to the part where your story started with all of this, even before when it actually, like, you started it out as an internet marketer. So
Uh-huh.
going really back to your high school, what kind of, like, so where were you studying? What kind of kid were you? Were like really curious, really making money or not? Because there are some people that are claiming that they're making money in the school, which, yeah, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be. But what kind of kid were you in school? High school, 11th, 12th.
Okay. I was a really curious kid.
Okay.
That's definitely there. By the
Hmm.
time I was in 12th standard, I had read around 200, 300 books,
Hmm.
comics
Okay.
mostly,
Okay.
also our Indian books about freedom fighters. And I had read around 50 books on freedom fighters and the
Wow.
history of India. I was, although I sucked at history, but I was very passionate about joining army. That was the thing. But I also I knew more than analysis. I was too lazy. Like I
Okay.
was playing sports for 5 to 6 hours every single day. I have an extremely fast metabolism and high endurance,
Okay.
but I was not that motivated to join army. So
Hmm.
in 11th and 12th standard, I wanted to choose engineering because I thought this would give me 4 years to figure out what I want to do. Apart
Hmm.
from that, I was a very shy and nervous and introvert kid. I never talked
Hmm.
to a single girl throughout my school life.
Okay.
Never.
Not even one.
Just like दूर से hi.
Okay. Okay.
Like hi, hello is okay, but I never went to a girl and talked to her. And if someone would come, I would feel so nervous that I would start looking down or I would start walk out the room.
All right. All right.
So
I can't tell you how much, like, I can actually feel connected with you. But okay, please, I won't cut there.
yeah, so I
Okay.
never made any money, but in school
Mm-hmm.
I never did anything like that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I so there were a few things I was really good at. I could have monetized them. I got to know about it later. So
Okay.
a lot of my guy friends, they reached out to me because I was really good at writing. So I used to
Mm.
write proposal letters for girls, like they
Okay.
wanted,
Okay.
but in their voice.
All right. All
So
right.
that was one service I could have become good at. Another one
Uh,
was that I was really, I was very sharp in identifying which Tazos are going to be in demand the next week.
mm. Mm. Nice. All right.
So those were the two things I think I could have monetized. Like people legit used to take me to, like, tell us which Tazo should we buy. That was why people used to come to me either to get letters written or to know for
Uh-huh.
Tazos.
Okay, okay, makes a lot of sense. And also, like, you were playing, so that was another thing. So you were
Yeah,
not you were not shy in terms of like actually meeting to people. It's just about the girls part, and
yeah,
that's how most of us as Indians are. Like
right.
most of us middle class people are, or upper class, upper middle class. So okay, so you were very shy. You were really curious. You're really good at like recognizing the patterns, and
Mhm.
because you were reading a lot, I'm just guessing that was the reason that you were really good at writing, uh,
Yeah. Like
right? Because
my parents actually made me start having the habit of reading. My parents are PhDs in Hindi and they
okay.
have been university toppers. So we have
Mm.
10,000 books in our home just for
Wow.
Hindi literature. And
Wow.
as a child, I used to stammer when I was really small. So my mom would wake me up at 5, and while
Mm.
she was making food, I used to read like for 1 hour to her in Hindi. And then
Mm.
when my father would come in the evening, I used to read to him for 1 hour after coming back from playing. So
Mm.
that inculcated the habit of reading. And then because my parents were also like my mom is a principal, so I was always surrounded by teachers in my mohalla
Same
gali.
school?
No, 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 in a girls' school, government girls'
Okay.
school.
Okay.
So I was always having that habit of writing a diary
Okay.
that what you did good today and
Mm.
all of that. So that really inculcated. Otherwise, I would have been a very mischievous kid if my parents would have
Mm.
like my parents are good at spotting patterns. I think they spotted
Mm.
it before I did.
Nice. So that habit has made you like looking at yourself and realizing, okay, doing SWOT, basically life SWOT,
Right.
right? Okay, so that's really good, and like your parents are doing those things when you were small, and that continued when till 11, 12. But your
Yeah.
pattern, that pattern of not talking to girls was not recognized by your parents.
I, I was actually very repulsive, to be honest, because now that I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about it. So in our school,
Mm-hmm.
there used to be this thing. So I was in Hansraj. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
followed by DAV.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So in Hansraj, if you did not have a sister, someone would tie
Mm.
you, a girl would of your class would tie you a rakhi,
Yeah,
and I did not like that idea.
me either.
So
Who
that,
likes that?
huh?
Who likes that?
Yeah, but as a 5-year-old kid, you never are in that zone whether you would like it or not. But
Mm-hmm.
I was always very uncomfortable with the idea of calling somebody else a sister
Mm.
or
Mm.
even being friends with them.
Mm.
So that's what pushed me on the back foot. And every single day, I would come back to my parents. I would say, I want a sister. I don't know,
Mm.
like your mother, like I would tell to my mom that grandmother has 5 daughters. Ask
Mm.
her the recipe, ask her the remedy. I want one. Like the success rate she has is 5 daughters out of 6 children. You should be able to get me a sister. And when my sister came, I was then like she became a friend. So
Mm.
that was the like I never had the feeling of talking to any other girl then because she was 7 years older to me and I could tell her anything and she would believe it.
Makes a lot of sense. And like there will be a lot of mischievous stories because you said ki you would say anything, she would believe you. So there, I'm pretty much sure there will be a lot of stuff. But let's not go there. Let's stick to your story. So that's who you were in 11th and 12th, and then you started doing your engineering from Agrasan, Maharaj Agrasan. What was so the only motivation was so so that you'll be able to figure out what you need, what you can do later on. So you have 4 years of window to figure out stuff.
So when I was like, I think there is this time when every Indian completes his 10th, there are a lot of elder people who
Yeah.
for Muslims and fight very passionate about creating guns and grenades. And they said that, beta, itna acha banoge to atankwadi le jayenge. Like, we don't want you to do that.
Okay.
So if you want to do that, do
Mhm.
something else. So I
Mhm.
thought, okay, let's go for science because I was good in maths. So
Mhm.
I chose science. But even when I entered college, Ishan, like on the first day, I knew I would not go for a coding job. I would probably go for
Mhm.
much. Our
Okay.
goal of entering the college was to become the most popular and like just be the most popular face. So that was my entire goal, and that's what I wanted to do in my college life.
Okay. And you tried it out?
Yeah. Oh, by 2 months I started like but I had like 5,000 or 6,000 contacts on my phone. 4
Okay.
of them were and like
Interesting.
Mr. Freshers, Mr. Yeah,
You know,
farewells,
you were not
anything.
shy anymore.
No, I faced a lot of rejections, so I was never shy then.
Okay, so like what you were in high school, now you became like really opposite kind of a person in college, if I would say, talking to girls now.
I would I would actually say that I actually living life on both the spectrums. I actually found what I was as a person, and now I know that I can play both the characters really well. I think they are
Mm.
characters that I can play
Mm.
really well. As a
Mm.
person, I'm still very shy and introvert who would only prefer to speak 2 to 3 hours a day. Otherwise, I can stay quiet in an entire for an entire year in a room alone. I don't like my people interaction is very less.
Okay, okay. Now
Yeah.
that role has made you this, but now are you interacting with girls on a romantic romantic side of your like? How's that? If you want to share, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
So
want to know the transition part.
yeah, yeah. So I would say that puberty hit me really late. Okay. So I
Okay.
when kids of my school they were getting me to write letters for them, I could never understand that why would you see a girl with that intent? I thought
Mm.
that should be when you have a job when you are 25.
Okay.
Because I was the only guy who had not been hit by puberty. So
Mm.
when I went to college, I
Mm-hmm.
think when I was in the second, like when I was 18 and a half, that's when the actual hormonal puberty hit me.
Mm.
And that's when I got immediate hormones rushing in. And then I started talking to a lot of girls. There was never
Mm.
the romantic intent even
Mm.
then, because I was starting to understand my feelings. So, like
Mm.
I was saying, that a lot of times what we are doing is we are looking for an escape mechanism to go
Mm.
from our unprocessed emotions to new
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah.
I was very mindful that I did not want to go
Just
into.
want to know, were you still journaling?
No, I was not. I had left that habit. So
Okay.
I was being mindful, but of course, I made mistakes on the way. I used to ask a lot of people out to know their stories. I
Mm.
used to ask a lot of girls out for a date, and I even got accepted like for a date request by Miss Delhi and girls of that
Oh,
level, like who were really
okay.
famous. I
Okay.
went ahead with them, so there was never
Okay.
that feeling. I never felt anything like that. Then when the startup started in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the entire focus went towards it from 2015 to 2017,
Mm.
because we were we were in a loss for the first 18 months. We were not even at a break even. The savings were over.
Mm-hmm.
Had
Mm-hmm.
taken banks had refused to give us loans, so we had taken loans from loan sharks, from
Okay.
private people, and
Yeah.
there was no time for anything else. So finally, after we got
Mm-hmm.
that we want to focus on building a business, and 6 months 8 months down the line, I finally went for the first time in my life that now let's talk about, or let's think about
Mm.
dating.
Okay.
So that's when I started meeting girls. I started going on dates. I started using Tinder. In fact, one of the videos I'm creating right now is what I learned after spending 10,000 rupees on Tinder. So
And okay.
yeah, that's a case study. So I was very fascinated with the idea of online dating. So I,
Mm.
over a period of 2 years or 3 years, I spent 10,000 rupees on Tinder in two or
Mm.
three different months.
That
So
gold coin something. I
yeah,
haven't, I have never used Tinder, but I know the features like the gold. Like, so
right.
you get some kind of specialty if you spend money.
Yeah, it's gamification.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
actually what we talked about. Like it boosts your social quotient.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, after that, I like uh, even today, I'm not in a relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not also on a lookout for a
Mm.
partner, but I'm mindful. Like if I
Mm.
would
But
meet
you're okay.
someone, yeah,
All right. I mean, you're hoping for. I mean, let's not go there.
yeah,
Sticking to the learning part of it. So these are the things that actually now that you're looking back, you can actually realize, okay, I was doing this, so probably I was like this kind of person. Now,
right.
right? But going to that phase, that business phase again, the 1.5 year when you were actually in loss and you were taking loans, what kept you going? Like, did you actually believe in the in the concept that you were doing? What is the one thing that were pushing you? Because it's hard.
Uh,
That was the theoretical question, the conceptual question. I want to ask also the cash flow side of it, how you were bringing in money. That
okay.
part.
So there are three layers to it. Was it
Mm-hmm.
hard? No, it was not hard, because for 3 years, I had already 3 to 3.5 years, I had already worked at least 5 to 6 hours a day alongside with my college.
Mm.
So I already had worked a lot. I had worked with big brands, internships. I had managed teams of 200, 300 people multiple times for multiple months. So I was clear that I did not want to go for a job. I wanted to do this. 10 years in executing it.
Mm.
So once I had the proof of concept, I had spent 3 years in deciding whether I want to do it or not. As soon as I had the proof of concept, I knew this is going to be thing I'm going to spend at least next 10 years, because
This
I
thing
could.
or
And another
anything
reason for that,
apart from job, something of yours, like particularly that concept or
no,
anything
no, no.
that
That
cannot lead you to job.
that concept came in the fourth year. I was never against the idea of job,
Mm.
but what I had so much with such big brands that now if I go for a job, there would not be any learning except for the technical side of it, like
Mm.
coding and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I thought, if I'm making 3,000 rupees today here, this offers me a better learning pattern, a better
Mm.
learning
Mm.
curve,
Mm.
a better growth opportunity. And
Mm.
this is something I'm interested in. Plus, I saw digital marketing as the opportunity to solve problems, because
Mm.
the problem for me when I was working 5 to 6 hours a day was commuting, spending a lot of time in prospecting,
Mm.
and building a website was a solution which saved me time, efforts, and resources.
Yeah.
And I had seen firsthand that how this thing was going to be the need of the hour in the future. I could
Mm.
visualize it.
Mm. Yeah.
That's why it kept me going, because even today, I still have a lot of potential side, like the good thing about us was that we all, like the four of us, we had 60,000 rupees each that we
Mm.
had managed to save. The
Okay.
bad thing was that we spent out of those 2.5 lakh rupees, let's say, we spent 1.5 lakh rupees on cheese rolls and paneer rolls and chicken rolls.
Fancy
So
startup stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the meetings would happen in at a roll corner or a juice joint or all of these places, CCDs and everything.
Yeah.
So that was a mistake. Then for cash flow, immediately. So again, I always believe that start broad and go deep. So
Mm-hmm.
we started with, in the first 3 or 5 months, we had tested at least 10 different products and services.
Mm.
So every single month, every single 2 weeks actually, we were launching something new.
Okay.
And we were going really fast. Like launch, analyze. If it's giving us the hope or potential, it can work, good. Otherwise, cross it, move on to the
Mm.
next. And I
Mm.
think the ability to distinguish whether you should pursue something or not is really important, because today I spend at least 2 hours a day to see what I don't want to do
Mm.
or where I
Yeah.
want to say no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you need to understand that you cannot get attached to ideas.
Mm.
So that was a big learning for me, because when we were splitting the company, the like when we were taking two different career paths, so we agreed that like we won't be doing, like me and my friend, we won't be doing Kindle books,
Mm.
and my other friend who taught me and I would really we were getting make 2 lakh rupees or 2.5 lakh rupees as revenue every
Mm.
single. Mistake that we had made was we were outsourcing to an in-house staff. We never trained ourselves. Like out of the four of us, only one of us was working on the core skill, and rest of the stuff was being outsourced to the team. And we had built a team of 5 people where we were paying like 1,30,000 rupees per month to them only.
Mm.
So that was a mistake that we made. Like we outsourced all of it in the beginning to an in-house
Delegating
team.
too early. Mm.
Yeah, delegating too early.
Okay, so if you would have to like start the thing all over again, so you are counting the things right now as we are talking. So you wouldn't be delegating too early, you wouldn't be too fancy. Like this is kind of an Indian fancy. So most usually, like usually we watch videos of US people and they are fancy in the terms of shoes and stuff.
Right.
We are fancy in terms of chicken rolls. We're fancy in terms of paneer rolls and CCDs and
Right.
stuff.
Almost.
All right. So those are the things that you wouldn't be doing. But the side hustle, I still cannot understand what is that one thing that is bringing you money apart from. So okay, you have 2.5 lakh rupees that you saved, four of you, to actually spend on the idea that you have. So and you moved very quickly. So I'm just guessing 1.5 year after 1.5 year from the starting point, you started getting the success, right? The success part. Um, until then, what was
Mhm.
that one thing which was bringing in money?
So okay. So firstly, if I would have to do anything different, I don't think this. If I have reading roles was something that like I have emotional eating, binge eating, and today that
Mm,
made me very health conscious. I had the problem of 5 and 6 years. And today, because of that,
mm-hmm,
I'm very aware about what I want to eat and what I don't want to eat, because my body, like I was telling you, I was at the lowest level. So my biological age of organs was found to be 47, and
okay.
I'm being 27. And there were a lot of medical complications with my body. So
Mm, yeah.
that's why now I understand the importance of it,
Mm-hmm,
because the depth of the darkness, I think, decides the height of the light. That's
yeah.
how my coach said it. So
Yeah.
because I went that low, I got
Mm,
104 kgs, really fat, 40 inches of waist. Today, I won't do that again. But I had to experience it once.
mm,
And for the financial side, like I'll go into the specifics this time. So when we were like when we made money with Kindle books, we started books. My friend who had introduced me the concept of Kindle books actually was also working on his first to his US audience, like building a US audience, which was a very new concept. Like he was the or a digital product.
Okay.
So before nobody had done it, and this was still in the year 2015.
Mm.
So there were a limited number of people who were talking about this stuff. When ClickFunnels was started, then he found a proof of concept there
Mm.
that he can make money, teach other people to write Kindle books and make money. So then, because I was great at writing content,
Mm.
he delegated his content to me. Which 9 months later, I got to know that I was not actually writing content; I was writing copy.
Mm.
Like I was doing copywriting. So
Mm.
then we started working on Kindle books, and we started working on getting done for you clients for Kindle books. So there are
Uh,
people who don't have time, but they want you to write a book on their name, and they would give you pointers, and they
Ghostwriting.
ghostwriting. So they'll actually, like, you can coffee table interviews, something like that.
And
So
then
we
you
were,
also do the marketing for them.
yeah. So we were getting it, like for Indian clients, we were charging 30 to 50,000 rupees,
Mm.
and for US clients, we were charging at least $2,000, and we were getting one US client for a couple of months, and then we were getting, I would say, one or two Indian clients, one Indian
Mm.
client every month. So that was a thing. But again, we were outsourcing most of it.
Oh,
So
that's where you went wrong. But otherwise, it would be a good profitable business. Like if you would be.
absolutely, absolutely. Like my friend who is pursuing it right now, he has taken and scaled that to 6 figures a month business.
Mm.
So that's a mistake that we made, and we never sat down and did the finances, like how much
Mm.
money is coming in, how much money is coming out,
And
which
you didn't
product
you
hustles.
didn't even put it in your SWOT analysis?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
So I was terrible with money in the first
Mm.
3 years.
Mm. Okay.
So that is how we did. And the second thing that made us money was animated explainer videos with
Okay. And
with
yeah,
we would charge anywhere 1,000 to for it.
makes a lot of sense. And now, like when you look back, what will be that one point which you feel, okay, now this is the
Yeah.
point which, like, I now feel confident enough that, okay, this much amount of money is coming in every single month. This, I can call it a legit business. What was that one point, like how many years ago? I think 2016, 17, somewhere around that.
So when we launched, when we started launching it was the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of almost every person who is doing launches in India right now
Mm.
coming. That first, I
Yeah.
would legit profitable business. Videos was another one, and launches was something that started making us money. We started becoming profitable with it in 2016 end. That's when we started in 2017,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and we that into e-com, which became profitable after, because now we had business experience. Although we didn't know how to do e-com, we had gained a few basic skills, like internal skills like grit, understanding what to do and what not to do. So
Mm.
e-commerce became the second sustainable business model, and then videos was the third. So that's how
Mm.
it went. And it all, so most of my friends actually stopped talking to me because they started thinking that I became an overnight success. So I I
Uh,
actually, we had product launches where we generated like um, 3.5 crore rupees in 6 months.
mm-hmm.
But not even one of them asked me like, what was your journey for 18 months back or 20
Mm.
months back.
Mm.
And today, when people see like our common friends of our college, when they see our Instagram profiles, they are like, "You got lucky, you were privileged." But I won't. I would say that that's a very shallow way of looking at it, and you need to understand that it came with a lot of trial and error.
Mm.
And actually, like, I have taken
Yeah.
loan for a business 3 times.
Mm.
All the
Yeah.
times not from a bank because the bank
Yeah.
rejected an application, but from
Yeah.
private institutions.
That,
So you
that's
need
that
to
would be so much stressful. I mean, yeah,
exciting and
that's
stressful.
exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
Good way of looking at it. Because okay, I'm just considering like thinking from the middle class background that I'm coming from.
Hmm.
I need always in back of my mind, and this is very personal from my side, okay. So always in back of my mind, I always have this thought, okay, I have to have a financial backup. If this
Yeah,
thing doesn't work, then I
yeah,
should be able to go back to this. So
absolutely.
that thing is there, and I don't think right now I have that mindset to take loans 3 times. I couldn't figure out the process that you would be going on at that time,
Uh-huh.
from my perspective, of course, from my current perspective.
Uh-huh.
But how was it for you? Do you have, like, I'm focusing on finances because that's where I felt I started learning it, I think probably 6 to 8 months ago. Like, I was terrible at it. I wouldn't say zero, I would say I was negative 100.
Okay.
I was really against. So I'm just thinking from that perspective. uh, I don't know why it was like that, because of the way that I was brought up or something. But do you feel at that point of time, those 18 months that nobody was looking at, what was your mindset in terms of, okay, finances is one of the biggest things in business side.
Right.
You have talked about the failure side of it, like where you were going wrong, like delegating too early and all of that. Uh, but what was that mindset, which was like, okay, you wake up, I have to make this thing work, and that's it. What was that your mindset?
My mindset was that I would wake up. I would uh, I would wake up late, like 8, 9, 10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then I would go to a gym.
Mm-hmm.
I would so I used to reach office by 2. By the time everyone would have, and I always made friends with trainers, like coaches. So I would until 12,
Okay.
get have my breakfast and then run. And then while going to this, or I would either be, I was like not a single day I was not doing any of these things. Like actually sit down and book for 15 minutes before even walking towards office.
Mm. Okay.
And when I think environment plays a huge factor. When
For
you
sure.
see a bunch of people that have been working since 10 a.m., you are reaching at 2 a.m.,
Mm.
and now you have that mental pressure that they have already worked for 4 hours.
Mm. Yes.
So that used to give me a lot of boost, and I always used to get motivated by that fact, because
Okay.
I was fascinated by self-disciplined people.
Mm.
And I used to go to office 3 times a week because it was too far and we had laptop and Wi-Fi, so we could
Okay.
work from home.
Okay.
But every time I would go to office, I was so motivated that I felt I don't need to go the next day, home the next day.
Okay.
And in office was that work for 1.5 hour daily, work, take a walk or play some cricket, or there were some kids on the same floor, like
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, tease them, play with them, uh, leave office by 8, from 10:30 work again,
Mm.
because we started working in India last year. So work in US time zones again. Try to get to, as like, one thing that I did beautifully at that point of time was I was reaching out to people, at least 10 to 15 people every single day.
Mm. Prospect.
Marketeers, newbies, prospects, any kind of people, to understand how the US market worked. So
Mm.
that was the thing. Like, if I would have to tell you that what I was doing in terms of the daily task, one was doing prospecting and
Mm-hmm.
sales, other was writing copy,
Mm-hmm.
third was reading
Mm-hmm.
and watching like good, really good videos, because there were very few back then.
Yeah.
And fourth was team meetings, plannings, and review. And yeah, those were the four things that I was doing on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you started with, like, you reaching out to office at 2 p.m., I thought, okay, you're gonna go down the path. Okay, I was not doing enough. But eventually you were working till late, and that was just your style of working. Makes a
Huh.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's so good to look at the story that's somehow similar, and where we can actually, I personally can take
Correct.
myself looking at, let's say I'm 24 right now. So there is, like, if I look at myself 27 years old, probably I'm looking at someone right now that I would want to, I wouldn't say follow, but would take inspiration from,
Right.
a lot of inspiration. So that's actually fascinating. Apart from the fact that we are both wearing white, that's just another side of
Yeah.
it. But I feel there is a lot of similarity in the mindset at least. Now, let's like, I want to end this talk because this is going longer than I expected. So there are a couple of questions from the audience side, just few, and
Sure.
you can choose if you want to answer them in one word or one phrase or something.
Sure,
So
sure, 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 sure.
one
And
is
yeah,
one is Google Analytics versus AdWords. I don't know what does that mean even.
no idea. I would say specificity. Learn how to ask good questions.
Okay. Thoughts on internet marketing as a growing competition. All right.
As a growing competition,
Yeah.
your competitors, if you are having bad competitors, you are a shitty marketeer. If you are
Mm.
having good competitors, then it's a good market. So
Mhm.
choose wisely.
All right. Can I do internet marketing as a part time, and because I belong to non-IT field, I just want to make another money source, and I actually love
Right.
it, and we have discussed about
Absolutely.
it. Yes.
You can.
How to start drop shipping with zero investment?
You
Question.
can't.
You can't. Cool. Uh, uh, what's the baseline?
For dropshipping.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't because people think that they that
Mhm.
in the Indian. So I would say that you need to understand that even if you buy a domain name, then
Mm.
you get to have a logo, then you need to have some customizations. That is
Yeah.
going to cost you at least 2,000 rupees.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then you need to run ads. If you
Yeah.
are dependent on organic sales, you can be like, you'll have your kids
Yeah.
growing
No.
up and telling you that
Yeah.
I'll buy from your store. So when people join our dropshipping program, we tell them that have at least 50,000 rupees for marketing and sales. Then
Hmm.
only join this program. Otherwise,
Hmm.
don't join it.
And that 50,000 baseline is for India to US.
Yeah, like getting designs done. I would say 7,000 rupees for designs, 3,000 rupees for setting up a domain name and logo
Hmm.
and all of this, and
Yeah.
40,000 rupees for ads.
India to US. That's somewhere around $500, five to
Yeah,
$600.
$500 to $600.
All right. So let's take another last question, which is like how to find work after getting skills. So.
How to find work after getting skills? You should find work while getting skills. I think
Okay.
that's a really good way. So I was just talking to a friend, a really good friend. So we were talking about how she is learning dance right now from one of the best institutes in the world, like
Mm-hmm.
from a LA studio. And
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, she's teaching to people in India. She was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to go back to US, but
Mm-hmm.
because of lockdown, she's in India, and now she's teaching to people in Pune. Like she's in Pune right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a beautiful way of teaching what you already have acquired, getting enough capital so you can go back and do what you wanted to do and then teach it to other people. Like always be connected to people who are 3 steps above you and people
Mm-hmm.
who are 3 steps below you.
Yeah, that's a good statement. And that's a
Yeah.
good point where we could end up this podcast. Thank you so much, Shrijan, to be here. I really feel really like, my mind is like blowing with the knowledge over here. So thank you so much for being here.